Hi, class. All right, so the next thing up is a course activity. And I'm having you do this one. I'm going to omit the second one. So this will be the last, these are the last two assignments. This one more that I'll present a video on tomorrow, and then it'll be the final test for Unit 2 and the final test for the course that will be required next week. And I think the next lesson will be a little more writing and revising, so that probably will take a couple of days. So I'll do a video tomorrow, and then we'll work on it on Monday too. All right, so this is a course activity, and it's an English class, and you can't just do multiple choice tests and get an English credit. You have to do some kind of like reading, writing, speaking, listening, right? So in this one, this is how we're going to score it. Your teacher will score it following scale, right? So 30 points for me observing and recording details about the image. So the first task you'll do is observe and record details about an image. And then you'll observe and record details about a text, right? And then you'll do a little compare and contrast writing. So this is not super challenging writing. So 30 points each for the observations and details, and then 40 points for the actual writing of comparison. And this is where you'll do that work. So there's boxes to write in right here, but if you're at all concerned, just go into your Google Drive, which you should be able to sign into with your DOE email. Just type Google Drive into the browser window and then log in with your DOE email and make yourself a Google Doc. Because if you take this activity and move it, cut and paste it onto a Google Doc, then you can do the work without worrying about it timing out, okay? So you could write your thoughts over here, plan your thoughts, and then after you've got those thought about, cut and paste back in. So again, it's the Command C for cut, Command V for paste. On a Mac, you have to look up if you're using a different kind of a device. If you're using an iPad, it's usually a tap screen. But what we want you to do here is look at this photograph that's titled Earthrise, right? And then in the graphic organizer, regard our observations about the image. So what's the focus of this image, right? What do you see? What colors are emphasized in it and how do they contribute to the subject? What details are absent from the image? What do the details in the image convey about the subject? And then what's the overall mood of the image, right? This would be great if we had a class together to discuss this before we did our writing. It would be much more rich and we would have much more interesting ideas. But people aren't showing up, so we can't have those conversations. So you'll complete this to the best of your ability. Ideally, you talk about it with somebody. All right, next you're going to read this excerpt, and I will read this out loud to you in a moment. But again, we're going to be looking for which details from this image are also portrayed in the text, which details are not, how is the mood similar, how does the image contribute to the reader's understanding of the subject, right? So we're going to do this again. All right, I'm going to read this piece to you out loud. Apollo astronaut shares story of NASA's Earthrise photo. By NASA, adapted excerpt. In February, Major William A. Anders visited Johnson Space Center for a BBC documentary interview in which he talked about the Apollo 8 mission, its historical significance, his personal experiences during launch and lunar orbit, and how he managed to shoot the unforgettable Earthrise photo. During his visit, Anders also paid a rare visit to the Apollo Photo Lab to open the storage vault where the negative of the Earthrise photo is kept. Anders said their job was not to look at the Earth, but to simulate a lunar mission. It was not until things had calmed down and they were on their way to the moon that they actually got to look back and take a picture of the Earth as they had left it. That's when I was thinking, that's a pretty place down there, Anders said. It hadn't quite sunk in like the Earthrise picture did, because the Earthrise had the Earth contrasted with this ugly lunar surface. Anders described the view of Earth before Earthrise, kind of like the classroom globe sitting on a teacher's desk, but no country divisions. It was about 25,000 miles away where you could still recognize continents. I don't know who said it. Maybe all of us said, "Look at that," Anders said. And up came the Earth. We had had no discussion on the ground, no briefing, no instructions on what to do. I jokingly said, "Well, it's not on the flight plan." And the other two guys were yelling at me to give them cameras. I had the only color camera with a long lens, so I floated back a black and white over to Borman. I can't remember what level got. They were all yelling for cameras, and we started snapping away. Earthrise is the name given to a photograph of the Earth taken by Anders during a lunar orbit on December 24th, 1968. Earthrise became one of the most famous photographs from all of the Apollo missions and one of the most reproduced space photographs of all time. It has been credited for inspiring the beginning of the environmental movement. In Life magazine's 100 Photographs That Changed the World edition, wilderness photographer Galen Rowell called Earthrise the most influential environmental photograph ever taken. Another boost of fame came in 1969 when the U.S. Postal Service issued a stamp commemorating the Apollo 8 mission. All right, take a pause, write down the details of this, and then we come to part C, which is to compare and contrast the details from the image and the text. How do the details from each medium portray the subject, similarly and differently? How do the image and text contribute to readers and writers, viewers' understanding of the subject? Right? Make sure that you do your best writing. Again, you can write it in a Google Doc first and then bring it back and cut it, paste it into this box so that you make sure that you've included at least one point of comparison and at least one point of contrast between the image and the text. And you should include commentary on the details that reveal how the image and the text together inform the understanding that you provided. All right, that is your lesson, and then you'll finalize it and submit it for grading. I will grade it within the system. It will notify me that you've done that, and then I'll move the grade over to your Scheduler gradebook. Remember that the grades in PupilPath are correct as of right now. When I get more information, I will put more information in. If you find a mistake in my data entry, please alert me and let me know. Again, communication will raise your communication grade. So if I hear from you, that's a great thing. All right, take care.